How are you? Welcome again to our conversations about entertaining. The point behind entertaining is to have a good time. And I know that some of you live by yourself. And I'm not lamenting that because most of you have chosen that. But at the same time, you have very special problems in terms of entertaining. It is possible to entertain yourself, I suppose, but I much prefer to entertain myself with another person. For me, aesthetics means that I have someone to share the treasure with, you see. It's like going through a gallery all by yourself or going through a gallery with your lover. It's much more fun with your lover. The art is different. Everything appears different. So today we're going to cook for two, just two. And maybe I can give you a few gimmicks on how to make a, you can call it a romantic dinner, you can call it a practical dinner, but the point is we're trying to cook for two, just two. First of all, I want to make a salad for you. In the Pacific Northwest, we call this butter lettuce, but out here I think you call it a Boston bib. So what I want to do is to take a couple heads here, and we'll use the head. When you have just one person coming for dinner, you can be a little extravagant. I'm going to take the center right out of the head, you see. There it is. And this will make a salad for us. All right? We'll put that on a plate. Let me do a couple of these. That plate's too small. Let me get a couple of these prepared, and we'll make some dressing. And I'm going to fill these with shrimp. Pick out a good one here. You know, if you have only one person coming, you want everything to be very precise and attractive. Just take out the center so that you wind up with a kind of bowl. There. I'm always afraid that if I ever do that on camera, I'm going to wind up with a slug in here. You know that? Wouldn't that be awful? What would I say to you? I'd say, there's a slug in the lettuce. What else do you say? All right. Put the basket now away so we can chop up the lettuce just a tad. I just want to dice this a bit or cut it into strings. This is very tender. It's the heart of the lettuce, you see. And that will make the rest of our salad. Now, for the dressing, very, very simple and very, very good. We're going to prepare a bit of olive oil, about half a cup. Just right. And we'll follow that with a couple of tablespoons of red wine vinegar. Don't put too much in this. Maybe even a tablespoon, because you don't want to cut the flavor of the shrimp. Heavy sauces on shrimp are just out of place. Just out of place. Even a remoulade bothers me if the shrimp's good. That's a heavy mayonnaise base, and I don't care for it. A shot of lemon juice, fresh, of course. I don't have to give you the sermon again about using lemon juice that was squeezed by somebody else. A little bit of lemon juice, and we're going to add some oregano and some dry mustard for our seasonings. And by dry mustard, I mean something like Coleman's. You see, there you are. That's very good English mustard. That's about 1/4 of a teaspoon, and the same with the oregano. Remember, we're cooking for two, just two, so you don't need an awful lot. Most of us, when we cook by ourselves, go overboard. That is to say, we cook so much stuff, we stick it in the refrigerator, and we have to eat it for 2 or 3 days, and then we get depressed, and pretty soon we're not eating properly. That's why I want you to invite someone in. So then you'll eat a much nicer meal. Okay, there we have the dressing. I think we need some pepper. Probably won't need much salt because the shrimp has a little salt on it, and the lemon juice will help cut our tongues as salt would. You see, so you can get by with very little salt. That'll be enough. All right, now then we'll put the dressing on our salad. That's a lot of dressing, but I'll show you what else I'm going to do. I can also sprinkle some of this dressing on the bib lettuce, you see, on the basket, or the Boston lettuce, whatever you call it. And we'll put some shrimp in here. There we go. I've pre-cooked these, of course, and then chilled them. You don't have to use the great big ones. These are only about $95 a pound, but you can buy a little salad shrimp. That'd be fine. They're much less expensive, and they would work fine. You know, the little baby shrimp. Okay, we'll toss that. Yes, with your fingers. If this isn't, if you're entertaining someone who's that big of a fuss pot, why, tell them to come late. Then they won't know. Then they won't know. Now, we'll fill up our basket here, our little lettuce basket. Because, you know, you want the first course to be a little dramatic, you see. There, that'll be nice. And we'll do another one, and then set these aside, and we're ready for our guest. There we are. I think you should cut the bottom off on this lettuce. You see, if I'd cut this off properly so it would sit flat, it wouldn't roll around, because you must be very careful when you're entertaining someone so that you don't put them in a jam. And this may very well embarrass my guest if the basket tips over, you see, when they're trying to eat. So be careful with it. Make sure everything's ready so that they can be totally comfortable. There we are. All right. Excuse me. My towel fell off. There you are. Okay, that dish is done. Let's put it aside, and we'll go on now to a white fish dish. Fish? You're going from shrimp to fish? Yes, and then I'm going to do scallops. Remember, it's dinner for two, and fish has always been considered an aphrodisiac, right? We're not fooling around today. We're cooking. All right. The shrimp salad is ready in a Boston bib lettuce, or butter lettuce as we call it on the West Coast. And there, get a pan going, and we'll start in preparing our fish. I'll heat my pan, and there we go. Now, for our fish, I'm going to use a white fish. You can use sole, flounder. This is a Lake Superior white. You can use anything you want. These pieces are too big, so let's cut them in half first. There we are. That's fine. And we're going to bread them with anything but bread. We're going to use filberts. Have you ever done this? There's a restaurant in the public market in Seattle, a place I really enjoy, and they bread their fish with filberts, or sometimes they're called hazelnuts. Now I need to grind these up a bit. I'm going to use my old coffee grinder, and it'll work well to get a kind of, let's hope it works well, yes. All righty. Not too fine. There we are. There we are. Okay. And on it goes. There. I'm going to bread my, I'm not getting all of that out of there. Now we've got it. I'm going to bread my fish with the beautiful filberts. And in order to get the breading to stick, I'm going to put a little bit of lemon juice on it first. Here it is. A little bit of lemon juice on the fish. Just on one side, maybe a little salt and pepper. Okay, there we go. That'll do us. And rub that in. Pepper if you like. You won't need much. There we are. It's very, very simple. And we'll get some olive oil in the pan. Here it is. That pan's awfully hot. I think I may have gone too far here. Yes, it is too hot. So turn down the heat and at least get it off when you first throw them in, you see? We'll just take it off right now. All right, we're going to bread our fish now in the hazelnuts, or the filberts. Just throw them right on. Get a lot on there. And then lay them into the pan. Beautiful. Ah, I love that sound. You think this is too extravagant? Fish with hazelnuts? I don't think it's too extravagant. I have a neat friend coming, so it's all right. Actually, you know I'm very far from home. And I have trouble talking to you about today's subject, cooking for two, because I haven't had dinner with my wife for several nights. And I don't approve of that. Not at all. And I'm getting very melancholy today because she's my best critic, and she's also my best eating partner. Okay, there we are. Now, we'll saute that. Don't overcook fish. Remember, the Chinese rule is don't cook it, threaten it. And I think you should remember that when you're cooking too. I've had fish cooked, and deep frying fish. Oh, Lord, what for? There. You don't want to deep fry fish at all. You'll ruin it. I don't know of a single fish that can take a deep fry, unless it's a heavy cod, you know, for an English fish and chips. That might be all right. But otherwise, you're going to get into trouble. All right, let's make a sauce for this. I want a tablespoon of butter. I want a lemon butter sauce here. Tablespoon of butter. Boy, that's pretty hot. I'll get that off the burner too. It's just too hot. You don't want to burn that. Now, you see that's beginning to burn right away? So add some olive oil. We're going to try and prevent that right now. There we go. That'll do us. We don't want the sauce to be too dark. And we're going to add a tablespoon of flour to that, and we'll make a basic roux, you see? You know what a roux is? Half flour and half, there we go, half flour and half butter, so that we can thicken our sauce quickly and nicely. And I need more flour. That's not going to work. There we go. And you can make a roux out of vegetable oil and butter. You can do that easily, and then you wouldn't have quite so much butter, fat, or cholesterol in your food. That'd work fine. Now we're going to add some clam juice and some white wine, or fish stock. You see, about a cup. And we'll cook this now. I'm going to add some wine, but back on the burner it goes. This will thicken up for us, and we'll add a little bit of white wine. Time to turn the fish. Okay. You might want to add a bit of salt to this, and surely some lemon juice, but I have to turn my fish first. Here it is. There. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, don't overcook it, please. I'm going to spread the oil around. There we go. All right, the sauce is doing nicely. Let's put in some lemon juice, and I think we're ready to go. Look at that. I've shot 2 lemons already, and we're just getting started. That's all right. All right, there we go. You got the sauce. It's very simple. Make a roux, butter and flour, and then add a bit of clam juice or fish stock, about half a cup to a cup, and a little bit of white wine, just a shot, a little bit of lemon juice, and the sauce is ready. Actually, that one's too thin. I'm going to add some more. Wine to it. You can turn off that one. It's hot. There we go. Wine's a great thinner. Not for your blood, but for your cooking. Don't ever add water. Add soup stock or wine, and then you'll get along with the world properly. Now, I'm not going to put the sauce on top of the fish because the fish is beautiful as it is. So I'm going to put the fish on top of the sauce. Put the sauce on the plate, you see. There we go. Isn't that cute? And on top of that, yes, that pan is as hot as you thought it was. On top of that, we'll put our fish. And we'll garnish that with a bit of, some fresh dill perhaps, or some parsley. I'm going to use dill. There we are. If these nuts continue in the pan here, they're going to burn up, so I want to get rid of them. We're going to use that pan for our next dish, which is also fish. Dill garnish. Oh, I don't need much, but, the idea that you should not do something extravagant just because there are 2 people there, or because you've been married 35 years, is just crazy. You should always have a good time. The table is the proper place for making love, for heaven's sakes. It's the most important room in the house, I'm convinced. Think of all the wonderful love scenes that you've known in history. Antony and Cleopatra, Tom Jones, that wonderful oyster-eating scene, Katharine Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart on The African Queen, when he turned to her and he said, "Madam, may I offer you some tea?" And she said, "Please, Captain." And he offered her a cup of rusty water out of the tank. Do you remember? That's intimacy. And it's always over food. Not the kind of breakfast that, what was his name, had with May in Public Enemy #1, Cagney. She made some wisecrack to him, and he picked up a grapefruit and pushed it in her face. Horrible thing to do. Not with food. Don't fight with food, please. That violates everything that we're trying to do in the Frugal Gourmet. Celebrate food. Have a good time and enjoy. Act like Tom Jefferson. He used to have sinful feast with lots of people, and most of them were girlfriends, but the boy could sure cook. All right, thirdly, I want to do a dish that I stole from a restaurant, a favorite place of mine. The chef there is Northern Italian, but he can sure cook. The restaurant is Northern Italian. The chef is Polish, so he comes up with some wonderful ideas. This one is great. I'm going to cook some scallops for you. We need some olive oil in a hot pan. Whoops, don't want wine, we want olive oil. And the scallops are ready to go. Everything is prepared already, so I can just throw them in the pan and toss them about. Very simple. We're going to make scallops in pesto. I want some carrot sticks. Aren't these beautiful little things? You want to see how these are made? I have a gadget that is more fun. Here it is. Here it is. It's very easy. You see, it has little teeth on it, and you slice them down this way, and they turn into sticks. You have to break them up, of course, the carrot sticks together. But here we have a pan full of carrot sticks now. I want to throw in a bit of green onion, just a smidgen. We don't want to get in the way of the scallops. We want off the scallop support. And, of course, some garlic. Oh, a clove. Good Lord, you put garlic in everything. I thought you were doing a show on lovemaking. Garlic is a known aphrodisiac. It's also the healthiest thing you can possibly do for your heart. Okay. That's fine. It's time for the scallops. These are beautiful little bay scallops. I'm going to do this on high heat now because I don't want to cook these. I just want to get them going. Look at that, Mommy. He keeps putting his hand in the frying pan. I know, don't you try that, but it's the only way I can function in the kitchen. Give him a toss. You see, the carrot is really there. primarily for color and to add a little bit of sugar, sweetness. When you toast the carrot, there you go. When you toast the carrot, you'll get a marvelous bit of sugar. Carrots have a lot of natural sugar, and they make a very nice addition to any fish dish. Now, we're going to close that out with a shot of white wine, and I'm looking for the pesto. Here it is. A shot of white wine, a bit of lemon juice, and some pesto, and maybe some salt and pepper. I don't know if you'll need much. Pesto is a sauce that we've talked about before, and I'm using mine out of a bottle this morning. I'm sorry about that, but it's made of ground fresh basil. Don't try this with old dried basil. It won't work. Fresh basil, walnuts, if you can't afford pine nuts. You see, it's very thick and green. It looks like chopped lawn, let's be honest. In olive oil. Basil, olive oil, garlic, that kind of thing. It's very delicious. The recipe's in, you can find the Italian recipe easily. Okay, a little bit of pepper on our scallops. They're doing well. I don't want to overdo these. Good heavens. All right, and a pinch of salt. That was a pinch. And now we'll add our lemon juice and then finally our pesto, because I don't want to cook the pesto. Green pesto sauce is to be eaten raw, literally raw. And in Genoa, Genovese, where it comes from Italy, you see, you have this on pasta, and it's wonderful stuff, just wonderful. There we go. All right, now we'll put in the pesto sauce. We just need a tablespoon or so. We don't want to cook it. And make your own. Yes, I know. I just didn't have time today. And it's all right. When you're entertaining too, you have to plan very much ahead, because you don't want to be in a panic when your friend comes. And if you live by yourself, and I keep talking about this mythical friend, hey, they just live down the hall, or they're right, you know, it's a telephone call away. Don't eat by yourself. You know why? Let me dish this up, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I have some very strange theories about what goes on when we eat by ourselves, and I think I can back them up. I'll tell you what it means. Just a second here. I'm going to put the scallops. Oh boy. Oh. Eat your heart out. If you're in some part of the country where you can't get scallops, I feel bad. But generally you can buy them frozen. And remember that sometimes it's perfectly all right that foods are frozen, because things like scallops, you see, would not take the trip. And if it says fresh scallops, and by fresh they mean they've never been frozen, but they don't taste clean. You see, they've been sitting around. You haven't gained a thing. You haven't gained a thing at all. So frozen is all right sometimes. Let me put this out. We need some color here. Now, let me tell you about eating by yourself and why I want you to stop it, even though at the moment you think you can't. Whether you're an older person living by yourself or a young kid in college, there's no reason to eat by yourself for several reasons. One, you don't eat properly. You don't eat properly at all. Isn't that gorgeous? You eat because you have a rather dull image of yourself when you're alone at table. It's no fun to be by yourself. Even if you're lonely, it's better to be lonely with someone else, and that's why we go to restaurants when we're all by ourselves. I understand what happens. So first of all, you eat improperly. You don't treat yourself well. Secondly, you eat too much, because there isn't another person across the table saying, I love you, don't stuff yourself, you see. And thirdly, you generally take on a very bad diet regimen, because you're nibbling and snacking and fooling around, and you say, well, you know, it's only me, and I'm leaving at 7, so I'll just see what's in the refrigerator. You should sit down and entertain yourself, and you can really do that best with another person. That's what I want you to do. Now, for your other person, I suggest you make them chicken under a brick. It's all right. I promise you it'll work. Let me show you something. This is just a gimmick that actually does work. It makes a very delicious dish. First of all, I have pan-fried on both sides a couple of chicken halves, and I've marinated them first. What did I do with my paddle? Here we are. I marinated my chicken halves first. You won't get to see that, but it's very simple. In olive oil, garlic. Garlic! He's made 4 dishes, Agnes, and he's got garlic and everything. Well, I expect a wild evening. Don't invite someone over who doesn't like garlic. You're not going to have any fun. Not at all. So we have some garlic, olive oil, rosemary, and I think I put some thyme in that too. Let me check my list. I always keep recipes even if I have one person coming. I write things down so that when they come in, I can give them a hug and we can pour a glass of sherry and start talking. Keep yourself organized so you don't get all lost. Oregano and rosemary, along with olive oil and garlic. Marinate the chicken for about an hour, and then brown them severely on each side, you see. I just cut the chicken in half. You understand how this came apart, right? This is what they did to me when I had open heart surgery. And I've never felt so good, so don't feel bad for the chicken. All right? Brown him on both sides. And in the oven, I have heated 2 bricks. Yes, at 375 for about an hour. Now these two are cold, of course, but I want to show you how this is done. Would you stop laughing? It's not a gimmick in that sense. It's going to work. The reason I'm doing this, of course, is because chickens in our time are so pumped up with water and phony hormones. These poor chickens have never even scratched around the ground. And don't ask me about doing a show on, on lovemaking, for heaven's sakes, when these two chickens, never mind. They don't have a good life. They're used, and I'm sorry about that. We're going to put the chicken halves in our baking pan, and then put just a tiny chunk of aluminum foil on them. Don't misunderstand me now. I don't want to cover them with aluminum foil. I just want to protect them from the dirtiness of the brick. Yes, I got these out in the backyard, same place you can get yours. And then on the top of each one, we set one hot brick. Plunk. Balance that rascal. There it is. And this, you see, the chicken is so full of water and moisture that we can press it out with a hot brick. It'll take, 45 minutes to cook. And the moisture will come out of the brick, and you'll have that kind of chicken that I used to know as a child, the chicken that ran around in our backyard. Yes, it was hard for me when my mother killed them. I usually had them all named, you see, and I'd come home and Harold was gone. But that's all right. I always loved the chicken and noodles. There we go. My mother always entertained me that way. Even if the rest of the family was gone and we would have lunch together, my mother always treated me as a whole person from the time I was little. I think that's one of the reasons why the table is so important to me. And it should certainly be that with your children. If you have parties, don't throw them out. Don't have them eat hamburgers and green peas down the hallway when you entertain real people. Invite them in. And if you live by yourself, just for kicks sometime, invite some kids over. You can do it. You can do it. And it takes some planning, but you can do it. All right, I have a chicken under a brick all ready to go here for you. I hope. Yes, it's done. I can smell it. I didn't have to look. You train your nose to know what's going on. Now, what do we do with the hot bricks? These are really hot, so we'll get them off the old bird here. Are you ready? There they go. You see, they've been flattened out a bit. They're also sticking to my aluminum foil. That wasn't planned. There we go. Got them. The chicken looks a little flat, but the moisture, the water has come out of him, so he's really very nice. Let's put those on a platter. Isn't this a kick when you bring someone home and they're really impressed with the fact that you're cooking for them and they say, "What are we going to have for dinner?" And you say, "Chicken under a brick." Oh, there we are. We need a little garnish on that. That's really gross looking, isn't it? That is to say, it looks bare. Poor chicken is given all he can give. Don't serve him naked. At least dress him up a bit. There you are. Unless you expect your party to get out of hand. There we are. Okay, that's a little bit better. And now then, we'll put that out and talk about, ouch. Okay. There we have 4 dishes. Is that all of them? Yes, that's everything. Sure, I'm missing something. No, I'm not. All 4 dishes. So that you can entertain properly. And the theory here, of course, is not the food, but preparation. In very short time, I've done all of these for you. And I want to give you the confidence to go ahead and do that for one another. And eventually, accept the fact that you're responsible for your own entertainment. I know a lot of people who are bored in this world, and I've really decided that it's their own fault. The place is utterly exciting. You remember the line in Auntie Mame? She's coming down the staircase, and I'll clean this up for the children. She's coming down the staircase, and she's talking with her nephew, and she says, Richard, I think was his name, and she said, "Richard, the whole world is a banquet feast, and those poor fools are starving to death. There's no reason to starve to death. Cook for one another and have a good time. It doesn't matter what you eat, but the feast depends on who you eat it with." So today, for my guests, who will be here very shortly, as a matter of fact, I've prepared chicken under a brick. And no, my guest doesn't know about this. Presses out some of the moisture. Then I've prepared scallops, which you could use as a first course, I suppose. Scallops and pesto. I'm not suggesting you serve all of these at once, for heaven's sake. You can do whatever you want. But scallops and pesto are absolutely delicious. And then fish fried, white fish fried with hazelnuts. Beautiful stuff. And then finally, I open the meal with a beautiful Boston bib or butter lettuce with shrimp and a vinaigrette dressing on the top. I think that is sufficient for any major love scene. You can have a lot of fun at the table. And when you consider other table scenes that we've known through history, because you and I love the movies, we think Casablanca. Wonderful. Or remember Hepburn? Not Hepburn. What was her name? In Breakfast at Tiffany's? Wonderful scenes, and it's always around food. And the table's a proper place for lovemaking. You know? That goes back to biblical times. In the Bible, love was more important than any other kind of involvement. Indeed, eating was a sign of very serious commitment. That's a wonderful thing to think about. So don't eat by yourself. It's just not worth it. You'll eat much better if you'll have a friend in, and you can enjoy yourself celebrating your own value. That's really what's at stake, because you're worth the entertainment. So invite someone nice in. Invite someone that you love and put out. You don't have to serve everything all at once. You can serve any one of these at any time. It doesn't matter to me. Or make up your own menu, of course. But the point is that you don't eat by yourself. Bring in someone else that you love and have a good time. There. One last line about the table. Confucius said, you didn't know I knew Confucius, did you? Confucius said that we all know that there are two major drives. Sounds like Freud, but it was Confucius. Two major drives, one for sex and one for food. And we also all know, he said, that the most important drive is for food. He's not talking about eating, he's talking about community. And that's what I want you to think about when you feed your friend. Until I see you again then, this is the Frugal Gourmet. I bid you peace. Bye-bye.